All right, Trevor. JBL is going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. He, of course, started his career in the WWE as Bradshaw, part of the APA, with Farouk, aka Ron Simmons. They won a few tag team titles, I believe, and then he switched personas. And it's one of the most consequential switches I've ever seen from a character. He switched and became, this loudmouth, rich Texan called JBL. And as he has never let us forget since then, he became the longest running WWE champion in SmackDown's history. He also has a history of being a notorious locker room bully, and we'll talk about that, I think, in a minute. But just initial thoughts on JBL getting into the Hall of Fame and, his career.
So JBL, you actually missed one. JBL's been in the WWE for a little while, actually. If I'm not mistaken, it was mid to the late '90s. He was Justin Hawk Bradshaw.
Oh, Blackjack Bradshaw, I remember that.
Yeah, he was black. He, actually, we missed two then. So he was Justin Hawk Bradshaw. Then was Blackjack Bradshaw. So he's been around for a while. Now you can't deny the man's work. He works well. I actually loved him. I actually loved him as Blackjack, and I also loved him as part of the APA. To me, the APA was one of the most underrated tag teams. I think they were very interesting. But I love Ron Simmons. I mean, you can't deny Rod Simmons' resume, man. The first black champion in WCW history. Like he was very prolific in his career. Like amazing wrestler. Put them together, I thought was money.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it's but a lot of what JBL did in like just his run as championship, or is just his run as just a singles competitor was kind of questionable. The whole storyline he had with Shawn Michaels, giving Shawn Michaels money, so he because Shawn Michaels was quote unquote bankrupt.
Yeah.
That was a little much. I mean, even when he was wrestling Eddie Guerrero and some of the racist
Oh,
things.
wow. When he kicked Mexicans across the border.
Yeah, that was a
Oh,
little rough.
that
That was
was
a little
bad. Oh,
rough.
that was bad.
But all in all, I mean, I don't hate this decision. I mean, it to me it's not as bad as some of the others on the list. I don't hate it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is for JBL, I think the what makes him a Hall of Famer and what kind of saved his career was in 2004 when he made that switch to JBL because like that was like around the same time I was like really getting passionate about wrestling and like
Right.
becoming a super fan. So for me, like when I saw that transformation, like JB, when I thought of heel in wrestling, two people came to my mind at that point. It was Triple H and it was JBL because JBL was so good at what he did as a heel. And
Yeah.
it's possibly because he was such a huge heel in real life. But he was so good at getting that reaction, that guttural reaction out of the crowd, being a pompous, arrogant piece of shit. He was good at bringing out, and he could work. That's the other thing. It gets very underrated. He didn't have the body of a Greek god. God knows
No.
we don't. But he could work, and his matches with Eddie Guerrero, the Texas Bull Rope match they had at Great American Bash 2004, one of the best matches I've ever seen growing up. They had, he wrestled the Undertaker in a few matches, which were phenomenal. Like in that one year where he was champion, he had feuds with some of the greatest people ever. He feuded with the Big Show. He feuded
Yeah.
with John Cena. He
Yeah.
feuded with the Undertaker. Feuded with Eddie Guerrero. I think
Yeah.
he had a little bit of a feud with
Rey
Benoit as
Mysterio,
well.
didn't he? At one point,
Who?
Rey Mysterio. I think that
Yeah,
was.
he feuded with Mysterio too. So he feuded with nearly like everybody in SmackDown, and he won a lot of those feuds. He only
Yeah.
lost at WrestleMania 21 when he lost to John Cena. So I think JBL and his induction into the Hall of Fame, it's worthy on the merits of just his run as the heel JBL. Also, what he did in ECW, when ECW One Night Stand. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the. So ECW One Night Stand came out with a alternate audio, like an alternate commentary, and it's literally 2.5 hours of JBL saying the most offensive, raunchiest ever. And it's not surprising some of the stuff he's saying. I'm not gonna lie. Like, just go out and seek it out. That might be, worthy of, that kind of thing goes into the realm of his locker room bully thing, and I think we should talk about that because he does have a history of being a bit of a locker room bully. He has noted to, I'm not gonna use these types of words, but like he's been noted to go up to people in the showers and mess with them,
Yeah,
which is deplorable if you ask me. There's the incident I talk about, one night stand. At one night stand '05, he beat the shit out of the Blue Meanie. He literally just started punching the hell out of him. He was bleeding. If you watch the video, he's bleeding profusely, and it's just because he thought he was fat and he was a little mark because because the Blue Meanie said one thing about JBL in a shoot interview that JBL didn't like, and it's stuff like that. It's stuff like the wrestlers court thing, which hearing those wrestler court stories, they're cool, but at the same time, when you think about it, it's like the stupidest thing ever to have like wrestlers court. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, it's
like
dumb. That makes sense.
oh, what's your yeah, you did this thing to offend the boys. All right, now you got to buy Bradshaw some beers. What, how does that teach anyone a lesson? How does that benefiting the boys at all? It's not. So there's all of these different incidents, I think, that make Bradshaw deplorable to fans, but also deplorable to his fellow peers in wrestling. And we know that Vince and him are golf buddies. He's going to get into the Hall of Fame no matter what. But, doesn't that a little bit kind of erode away at his legacy, do you think?
I mean, a little bit, but like, I mean, to be honest, like if you go back, there are a lot of pieces of shit in that locker room, and some of which actually early on in his career, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, Shawn Michaels, was an absolute asshole, especially when he was doing the painkillers and everything. No one liked him in that locker room. There was a time when he got suspended because of the fact that him and Martin Jannetty were just complete pieces of shit. But I mean, he's still one of the greatest in-ring performers I've ever seen. And Ric Flair also mentioned he might be the greatest wrestler he's ever wrestled. So, which is saying a lot.
Yeah.
So I mean, should it take away from his, because I mean JBL was worse than Shawn Michaels, but should it take away? Probably, but is it? No, because I mean Shawn was never racist or never went up to anyone in, like you said, beat the holy shit out of him with the Blue Meanie.
Yeah, that's the thing too, and there's also the incident with I forgot the name of the tag team, but in 2001 at the Royal Rumble, or 2000 at the Royal Rumble, him and Farouk just beat the shit out of this tag team because
I forget the name. I know what you're talking about.
Is it Mean Street Posse? Maybe I don't know. It was
it Mean Street or was it the
It's from ECW actually. They were from ECW. I don't remember. But you're supposed to take care of the people who are in the ring with you. That's the whole point about wrestling. You're supposed to take care of the people who are in the ring with you. And there were several points in his career where he didn't do that, and he was doing the opposite.
It's just he didn't. I mean, like you said, we talked about earlier about the Mexican thing. That I mean that was completely fucked up. Like I mean, in a lot of his commentary, you're sitting there listening to like, was he really allowed to say that shit? Like he's called people names on commentary. Like it's just and
he bullied Mauro Ranallo off of commentary. The best announcer the WWE had since JR. Yeah. He bullied him off of commentary.
This shit was crazy. I'm like, what the? But I mean, again, like you said, he's Vince's the golf buddy. He has done a lot for WWE.